Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Ryan Hall. I'm the Organizer Success Manager at Meetup. Thank you for joining us. And just a friendly notice that this webinar is being recorded. We'll be sharing the recording with all attendees as well as a copy of the deck, including any resource links mentioned in this presentation afterwards. Just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. This is the first webinar. It's part of a new series just for Meetup Pro customers. Due to the urgency around the coronavirus pandemic, we've structured this first session around our newest and most relevant update, online event support. But first, a quick introduction. Again, I'm Ryan Hall with the Meetup for Business team, the greater team that also includes Meetup Pro. I've been an active Meetup user, pro customer, in fact, since 2017, having hosted over 330 Meetup events and counting. Since joining the team in this past June, I've helped launch over 50 sponsored events with major corporate partners, such as Burger King, Grubhub, and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and more. My favorite part is creating new opportunities and incentives for Meetup organizers to keep doing what they do best by connecting amazing groups to relevant sponsors. And like many of you, I'm currently stuck at home, but thanks to Meetup, I can stay connected to my leadership team and my greater community through online events.
Hey everyone, Maridu here. So I recognize some familiar faces or names. Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a senior account manager on the Pro team. Fun fact, I started at Meetup as a bilingual support specialist. My first language is French. So I've been at Meetup for over 3 years, more specifically on the Pro team for 2 years. I love working with you all to provide support to help your communities grow at scale. And I am myself also an organizer. In fact, I lead the Women of Meetup group. Back to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Mary Lou. So due to the need for social distancing during our COVID-19 crisis that we're all dealing with in some extent, Meetup is offering greater support for online events. Of course, the health and safety of the Meetup community is our #1 priority. Like all of us, Meetup is listening to the many global government health organizations for guidance. And of course, Meetup strongly recommends that all Meetup events be hosted online until there are updates from your local governments, concluding that it's safe to resume in-person meetings. You can find the full policy update at meetup.com under our Help Center. And as a reminder, we'll also share these resources after the event via email. Here are some more resources that we brought together in one place to try to make things a bit easier for you. There was a webinar recently featuring Sunil Bhaskarian. He's a Meetup organizer with over 120,000 members, and also featured our very own Emma Schwartz, Meetup VP of Product. You're welcome to check that out and just get a high-level overview of some of these new features that we're rolling out. And of course, you're welcome to save all of this info and share it with your local leadership teams. Just to get things warmed up, here's a quick poll just to get a feel for everyone's experience hosting online events. You should see a window pop up on your screen shortly.
Yes, now it's back. Yes, thank you. Awesome. So we're just gonna let people answer, whoever can see the poll, maybe give another 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're at 57%. Let's see if we can get maybe 80%, 90, 100. All right, I'll just for the sake of time, I'll take 60, 63. This is great. I'm going to end the poll in 2 seconds. I'll throw the results here on the screen. All right, so a majority of you have had some experience hosting online events, either yourselves or your local leadership team. This is great. Thanks for sharing that perspective. All right, let's talk about our newest features around online events and what it means for you, our pro customers. Meetup now includes the option to add a video conference link to an event instead of just a physical location. Organizers can use the video conferencing, webinar, or streaming service of your choice. We've recently learned that Microsoft Teams is also offering a free Teams trial, so check that out. In addition to some of our other examples, including Zoom, Google Hangouts, Twitch, and many more. And just another poll, and we'll just be sensitive to any latency this time. This is to just get a feel for how everyone plans on using these tools. So far, what you've heard is exciting, or maybe you heard the news as we announced it 2 weeks ago, just to get a feel of how everyone will be using these tools.
All right, so we're going to launch the second poll. Looks like people can start answering right now. That's great.
We already have 70% of the people voting. Great. Glad things are moving along slowly on the internet. All right, well, it's fantastic to see that many of you are already using it, or you're not sure, and you're probably here to learn more information about these tools, which is great. All right, this next session is going to be about driving engagement by leveraging your network profile. Your network profile is your public place to showcase your network. It's also a great marketing tool to promote your event content and community initiatives. You also have the option of using a custom header. This is an elegant way to keep your community engaged and up to date, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. You can adjust this call to action anytime, which is especially critical in this time of uncertainty and constantly changing news. To call out a great example, as seen in the graphic here on this slide, the Ethereum Developer Network is utilizing custom attractive graphics to make their network profile pop. You can also see an example of their updated header pointing out the importance of engaging your community during this time of global isolation. Engaged communities start with engaging your leadership at the local level. They're the eyes and ears and your megaphone of your regional groups. Thousands of Meetup organizers are already hosting online events. And keep your leaders engaged and lead by example by hosting your own online events where you can bolster your local leaders and give them a forum to ask questions, share best practices, and learn from one another. No matter the size of your network, whether it's 4 groups or 100, online events are a relevant strategy for keeping your communities engaged and growing. As you use these tools to engage your leadership, it's important to keep things like different time zones in mind. The time zone for an event is relative to the geography of the group hosting the event. Here are some ways you can keep everyone on the same page when hosting a global event. You can accommodate as many global organizers as possible by varying the time zones in which you host events. By varying the times in which you host events. Or you can also host 2 sessions in the same day, such as the Go Meetup organizers, shown here. It's a great practice to use the event description to clarify any potential time zone discrepancies. The main takeaway here is to be as accommodating as possible. Finally, take advantage of Meetup's many engagement tools to connect with your leaders. Here are a few great ways you can do this, listed by most creative to the simplest solution. Think of your local organizer group as a content hub where you can share ideas, best practices, start discussions, or upload photos. You can also schedule exclusive members-only events for your leaders. You have full control of who can join the group. And of course, you can use the Pro dashboard to email your network or any segment of your network by role. And keep in mind, role in this context means your organizer or anyone in your leadership team. That's organizers, co-organizers, assistant organizers, and event organizers. You can also segment these mailing lists by group and location. And then you can send your email, either using the integrated MailChimp sync feature, which Mary Lou will show you up close and personal how to use that feature, or by exporting the list and using the marketing tool of your choice. Similarly, you can use Meetup's native messaging tool to mass message a segment of your choice, such as all organizers. Now, to give you a closer look at some of these useful features, I'm going to humbly pass the baton back over to Mary Lou.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And now time for a live demo. Always fun to see all these beautiful tools that we talked about in action. All right, so I'm now on a Pro dashboard, so you should all be familiar with this tool. So let's start by the network profile. Actually, Liz asked us, how do I add a custom header? So just a quick look. So, you can access your network profile directly from your Pro dashboard. So you want to go on the settings tab and then click on that view network profile. So again, that page is a public page. It's available to all Pro customers. And it's something that's public. So your members and organizers in your network can see it, but also anyone who's not yet on Meetup. So great marketing tool. And you have different options. You can add a logo. You can update your network name at any time. You can add, update your description as well. Like we mentioned, you can add a color code to match your branding. And also, here's the custom header. You can add that beautiful branded header on that page. And really right now, a great time to update your messaging and your call to action. The other set of tools that we talked about are relate to a way to communicate with your network members. So you'll want to go on the members tab for that. And pointing out here the filters that we talked about. So if you want to reach out more specifically to leaders of your group, and a reminder here that we use organizer to refer to anyone on a group leadership team, which means your co-organizer, event organizer, assistant organizer. So that really includes everyone who has a leadership role. So I'll want to select that organizer filter, apply it, and then I'll get that smaller list of local leaders. So then I can select that list and I can take two actions. I can either export that list and that list will contain, the name and as well the email. So that's a list that you can then upload to the marketing tool of your choice, to your CRM or any other tool where it's deemed useful. And then the second option is the one that we talked about on the on-site messaging tool. So the Meetup messaging tool. So you'll want to click on new message, and then you see that the message is being sent to the 18 local leaders that you selected. You can add a subject line, the body of the text. You have a few formatting options here, hyperlink, and two types of fonts, and then you can just send your message, and that message will be sent via email. So Meetup will send that email on your behalf to these 18 members. One other thing to point out is you can find all the messages that you send through the Meetup platform by clicking on Send Messages. Now we have one last thing that we want to demo. We're really excited to share that we'll be releasing a new tool sometime next week that is specific to Pro customers. So as we mentioned, Meetup has already released an online event tool for all organizers. So we wanted to align also for our Pro customers to be able to leverage that tool on a more global level. And so we are making an update on the event template feature. So for those of you who are not familiar with that feature, as a Pro customer, you have the ability to create an event template that you can then make available to all groups in your network. So for example, here we prepared a template for a panel discussion for International Women's Day, Women in Tech. So that means that as a Pro customer, I've added some key information in the event description. I may want to give a tip, to my organizers or local leaders across the network of what to use. And so that's a feature that everyone has access right now. The one additional touch that we are adding is the ability to add an online event link. So either a live stream, video conference, something to allow all of your groups to kind of sync to the same event. So let's say that I make this event and I want everyone to use the same templates and also to connect to the same panel discussion. So I'm going to save that. And now that this event lives for my entire network, let's just go and take a look. What does that mean for the organizers part of that network? So if I am Mars and I'm the leader of the protest environment meetup group, and I'm part of the pro product development group, and I go here and I want to create an event, I will now see an option to start my event from a template. So if I choose here and I want to select that example, then I'll see that the title is already populated, and then the description is populated, and then that specific link that all the groups will use is already also populated. One thing to point out is that this idea of event template is still requires some coordination with your local leaders. So, you know, they'll want to adjust the right cover photo that fits for their group, and also will want to make sure if it's not a live stream and it has a specific time, I highly recommend to add in the title the exact time so that everyone in each of their groups can adjust to their own time zones. So that concludes the live demo. I will now like to kick off the Q&A. So we've talked enough. Now we want to go to you. What questions you have for us? I know I've already seen a few Q&A, so I'm just gonna catch up on that. So I'll start responding and going through questions. We'll try to respect time, so we have about 9 minutes left. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, and we will read all questions, so we may reach out to you separately after if we haven't had the chance to respond to your questions.
And just a quick moderation request before we begin. If you've already submitted a question in the chat field, if you can kindly put it in Q&A, that way all the questions are in one place for Mary Lou and she can make sure she doesn't miss anybody.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Okay, from Deborah, she's asking, any recommendations on video conferencing services, pros and cons? That's a really good question. I think that each video conference right now, like some of them are paid, others are free, some have some limitations. Brian, I know you're using some of them as an organizer. I know Zoom is very popular, but it does require to pay after a certain number of attendees. I don't know if you have a favorite one.
I am partial to Zoom. That's what we're using right now, and despite some lag with the polling, it's been absolutely great for us. As Mary Lou mentioned, it is a freemium product, the free version of Zoom. I believe it supports up to 100 attendees in a video conference, but only for 40 minutes. And then there's tiered pricing to add more attendees and or time. But you can read all about that on the Zoom website. And there's a solution basically for every use case. A lot of developers, especially game developers and the gaming community in general, Twitch, Discord, those are major hubs for not only streaming, but building chat and video and community around those live streams. So those are very popular. And there's just so many. As we were rolling out this product update, our teams just put together a list of every possible solution that we could source, and the list is extensive.
Yeah. So yeah, so happy, that's a good idea to maybe like draft a blog, and we'll see what our content specialist, that would be something interesting to work on to make available for you. Okay, another question is coming from Ben. Why does the number of members on the members page differ from the analytics page? Yes, that's a good observation. This is great. So we are updating the way that we measure our data across the Pro dashboard. Right now, the analytics page measures the data a bit differently than on the members page. So the time of the update is a bit different, which is why the data is not sometimes does not reflect the exact same number. We are actually working to update that, so more to come, and thanks for pointing that out. Another question here. What are your best practices to increase engagement online? So I think that the key of any type of engagement online or in person is to have some sort of cadence. So with local communities on Meetup, one of simple kind of best practice that I like to share with customers is first to have a cadence in the events that you organize. So, you know, we all have different bandwidth in terms of time that we can devote to organizing events. So whatever cadence fits your community, it can be you meet on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, even, you know, 2 times a year, and you do bigger events, like that's totally fine. But to have that kind of cadence so that members know that there is something coming up is very, very powerful. And then the other big thing is to have some interaction before an event, obviously during the event, to be present and welcoming and really open to your attendees, but also after the event. So I guess, you know, right now to increase engagement online, it's to make sure that you stay engaged with your communities. It's true we cannot meet in person, but we can stay connected. So you have different tools on the Pro dashboard that we've covered. You know, you can segment your audience and send some targeted messaging using the either, you know, exporting the list or our on-site messaging tool. And on the group level, organizers are welcome to start discussions directly on their page. They can also contact their members more directly. So lots of ways to really keep your entire network connected during this time of social distancing. Another question here, can you show us how to link MailChimp? Oh, yes. So MailChimp is one integration that we have right now. So basically, from the members tab where I was, there's a simple button that says MailChimp. You click on that button, you have very simple instructions. Basically, what you need to do is to connect your existing MailChimp accounts, and then you'll want to select a list on MailChimp that you want to use as the list that will send all the new emails to, and that's it. So fairly quick. There's also a help center article describing how to sync your account with MailChimp. From Brian King, it would be cool to create an event globally and then it would auto-create the event in all groups. Any plans for this feature? Yeah, cool, like really good question. Right now, the way that we have our event template set up is still requires coordination with each organizers. So you can't really push that event across all your chapters. But you know, it's good to know that this is something that some of you are interested in doing, and definitely right now, as we're going more and more like online and try to touch a more global audience, something really interesting to explore for us. So thanks for raising. All right, we have about 2 more minutes. I'm just gonna go scroll down through the next questions. Okay, Ben Sufiani, we wanted to add Discord, but it didn't work. What's up with that? So was Discord, and maybe I could let Ben Sufiani describe. I'm not sure if that Discord was a link for as an online event. I think I would need some
Discord is an option as a platform to use for streaming.
Okay.
Is you know, similar to Twitch. I have seen just this is purely anecdotal, but as I was doing some research on seeing what groups were doing live events, I did see a group that was successfully using Discord. It was a product testing group out in LA. I personally have run into an issue using a bit.ly link that I was linking to an ongoing, Zoom conference room. But I haven't seen any platform-specific issues. Marilee, what's the best channel to get support around that issue? Because Twitch should be supported.
Yes, in Discord. So if you do have any issues with that, you can just reach out to pro@support.com and they can follow up with you. And maybe something about the link that you're using, as Brian mentioned, if it links out to something else, it may be the issue why you're not able to use it with the new online event. All right, well, we are out of time, but I see a bunch of really great questions in there. So we'll make sure to review all your questions and maybe put some in a kind of like Q&A follow-up. Thank you again so much for joining. This is our first webinar of a series. So sounds like there is a lot more to uncover. So we're excited to start planning for the next one. We will be sending a post-webinar feedback form. So please add any topic that you'd like us to cover for the next webinar. Again, thank you all, and please stay safe and connected.